guys, so I think the plan is for this weekend is, I know you guys have got to watch me do brake lines before, but one of the first steps I got to get through on this before I can even think about putting the motor in is I need to get all the brake lines done around the firewall. So I think that's going to be the goal for today. Of course, one of the neighbors drive through right now. I'm going to get the brake lines done for the firewall, get the clutch pedal mounted, and get the hard line at least for the clutch master cylinder ran over to hopefully right around the correct spot on the firewall, so I can start getting things done. So I can start getting it around to where I can mount the motor and transmission in it and start making it a car again. But that is the basic goal for this weekend. Not really a huge goal, not really a lot going on. I want to get the engine bay cleaned up and stuff as well too, because I mean it's got a bunch of leaves and stuff sitting in it. But hopefully, if the weather gets better, I'm going to do the brakes on the rear of the Tundra as well. So I also did a trailer hitch on someone else's car today that I didn't record, but wasn't mine, so I didn't want to record it. Didn't want to ask if they had the time for me to record it. They kind of needed it done in a hurry. So, yeah. Let's get started. Okay, as you can see here, I have already kind of started it. This is not the original brake booster to the car or the original master cylinder to this car. This car originally had anti-lock brakes in it, so it had a big ABS unit over here and a bunch of hard lines running everywhere. But the problem with it is the ABS didn't work, and I'm not sure what was causing it to not work, so it was not worth the effort to go through and fix it. So, and then with me doing the brake swap and everything I'm doing, this just was like, all right, screw it, this is what I'm doing. I'm just going to make a non-ABS. That master cylinder and brake booster is actually off of a 2001 Corolla instead of this is a 93 Corolla. Bolt pattern is the same for both. Everything is the same as far as bolting it on and using it. Just that brake booster is, while being slightly bigger around, is much more compact and takes up less room depth-wise than the factory one did. So that was kind of the whole point of using it instead of the factory one. The factory one, while being a little smaller around, was also much fatter. And with me stuffing the V6 in here, not knowing how tight everything's going to be, I figured that was a better option than the stock one. So, all right, let me see if I can get you guys in the tripod and figure out what we're doing from there. All right, and the first step of this process is this hard line actually had the wrong end on one end of it, because while the master cylinder is a metric fitting, which is what's on the end of it here, the only T I could find is a standard fitting. So I need to put a new fitting on it and reflare it. That way it'll actually all bolt together. So we're going to attempt this on camera, see how it goes. Don't be surprised if it ends up shutting off and I just go, all right, here it is. Because, well, we know how me and my luck is with brakes, so wish me luck. And it's already looking like the flaring tool's messed up. That's fun. So, not my flaring tool either. It came from Advanced Auto Parts, and I'm putting it in backwards. That also doesn't help. Hope if I had everything on camera to show you while I'm doing it too. Need a wrench. Just grab a pack here. I'm sure this is not metric. If it's metric, I will laugh because I'd be the first. All right. Okay, got that on. That is going to be way too low, I can tell that already. I have not tried actually flaring this metal line, this steel line before. So this could turn into, I start using some of the spool of copper line I have up there instead, just out of simplicity. So, because I don't know how well this steel is going to take, because I know how well these tools actually work, so they work really well with that stuff. Not always so much with this stuff. That, and with all the bends and stuff I got to make, the other stuff just might be better in general. No, that's way too big. What am I thinking here? Maybe one of these two smaller ones that got used a ton. No, I'm gonna need it. Now I know everyone says use certain flares and stuff certain ways. I've had no issues just kind of doing a single flare on most stuff. Getting it to go in, getting it to seat and just work. So that's what I normally do anymore. Instead of fighting trying to do a bubble flare or double flare or anything like that. I know they're theoretically better, but if it's not leaking and it's holding, I don't see what the issue is. That is the wrong size. That is the right size. So, putting the T on just to make sure it seems like it's fitting tight. Nothing wants to move like it shouldn't. All right. And it even looks like I got it kind of lined up the way it needs to be. Now I've got to get it into the car and start forming the bends a little bit better. I'm not as worried about where this lands exactly as I am getting it up against the firewall. Because from there, then I can reroute the other lines however I need to go to get them to where I need to go, and it won't be too big a deal. So, all right, time to move on to that step. All right, so I got the hard line loosely, well, a little bit more than loosely bolted where I want it. But the goal here is to get it back along the firewall right around here is where I want it. So I'm going to, and yes, I'm just kind of bending everything by hand. I'm not worried about it being super pretty. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a 93 Corolla, so it's not exactly a show car per se. I don't want it to be terrible, but at the same time, I'm more worried about function than actual looks. Go and lock this in the rest of the way up here. So that's another hope. And of course I'll have to round the nut off. That makes sense. There we go. Locked in. Master cylinder is not bolted to the brake pedal yet, so there is a little bit of movement there. And, well, frankly, I didn't feel like crawling in the engine bay. So there's also that. See how that looks from the side. Oh, that'll be plenty good enough. Realistically, I would have liked to land maybe more about right here, but that means I ain't got to make a sharp bend to come down here. So, because that's the next one I got to do, is I got to go from there down to the bottom, and then I got to go from here over, and I'm probably, this This one from here to here, I'm probably definitely going to use the copper line. So not that you can see where I'm pointing. I've got to go from here over to here, and I'm probably going to go ahead and replace this little bit of metal line just because I don't want to have a bunch of couplers to fit everything in and everything. So that's going to be what happens with that. Then from there, I think that's actually the whole brake line setup that needed done. I think it's going to go a little, hopefully, fingers crossed, a little bit more smoothly than I thought. Because I got a couple parts I want to go ahead and order, I think, next as well. Because right now it still has Corolla rubber lines on it, but it has Lexus ES300 brake rotors, or, well, basically front brakes on it, period. So I think I want to go ahead and get the slightly longer Lexus lines to make sure I've got everything I need for turning and everything, and there's no funny business going on with the lines that way, because at the top they'll mount up to the car the same. It's mounting to the caliper where things are just a hair bit different. So, but all right, I think the next line we're going to do is we're going to go from here down to there. That's the next line we're going to do. Get that a little bit more locked in place and stable, and then we'll start figuring out this line. Oh, and of course, things never go quite as planned. So I'm going to attempt to get this part on camera. The end of the proportioning valve here is full of rust, and I cannot get it off, or I can't get it to take a to take the end of the line in it. So, and I can't find a new one. At least not that I can order and get today. If I do, it's going to be like a week out. And frankly, I would like to try and get this done today, because these brakes are what have killed me on motivation for the last 2 years of this project. And I'm at a point where I finally want to be able to put it behind me and get them done. So I'm going to get all these brake lines out and just start hopefully cleaning that side of it out in hopes that that will do what I need it to do. Oh, that's already looking like another line is going to need, yep. That's another line that's going to need replaced. Or maybe not. I think it just broke free. There we go, it broke free, never mind. So it might not be as bad as I thought. So I already loosened these ones up, because I had a feeling they were going to be a fight, and it turned out the brake lines were more of a fight. So I guess it's a good thing. Now you guys are also going to get to see when I painted the engine bay, I did not paint behind the proportioning valve. I did not feel like taking it off the car. So, yeah. There's those two. The original one that I made. Let's see if we can get it out. So this was the last thing I did right here, was this line before the car ended up outside, which is like kind of where all the problems begin with the proportioning valve. The proportioning valve, last time I had worked on them, I was able to easily get both of these in and out. So I could already tell from the looks of it that was full of rust. So at this point, it just needed to come off anyway and be cleaned out regardless. Or I'm going to have to just order one. Maybe this will be used for mock-up for the minute, and I'll get another one ordered so I can replace it next week for you guys, or just replace it off camera so the brakes can be done. I don't want this to be a thing like it was with the Rambler, where the brakes themselves are 4 videos and they're all an hour long, and I don't want to do that again. I don't think you guys want to watch that again. Yeah. All right. Huh?
You don't want to make it another 3-year project?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't want the brakes to be some other mind-numbing. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any saving that. It's pretty nasty in there. But we're gonna try it and see what happens. Ooh. The other side looks terrible too. So, we're gonna see what happens. All right. Surprising enough to me, I did manage, if I can get it to focus down any of these holes, did manage to get this actually cleaned out. It is letting fluid flow through it, so this might be okay still. It took a little bit of work to gain the threads back, but they're there. I think hopefully good enough that I can actually use it. If nothing else, this will be good for what I need to do today, and I'll look about ordering a new one. But probably go ahead and clean this up and paint it too, just in case. Just because, well, I don't want to put it back in the car looking like that. Alright, I went ahead and started this off of the car, just because, well, not knowing how those threads were going to be to line up in the car. At least I got it started, so now I can get it in there, get the rest of the bend made, and then swap out the end. Alright, so looks like I'll get this mounted back up here, and then we'll start figuring out the rest of these bends. Because, like I said, all I gotta do is I gotta go from here down and up. I was gonna go up and over behind these ones and then up. I was like, man, that's just making it complicated for the sake of making it complicated. So I stopped myself while I was ahead of myself and just didn't go that route. So, and I realized at the beginning I was saying from down here and around, but then after the fact I was like, oh yeah, duh, that's not where that goes. So, yes, using a ratchet for this would be a lot simpler. I forgot the ratchet up on the bench. I'm not crawling out of this engine bay again until I need to. So, I also think I mildly tweaked my firewall by a lot of it. That's always good to know. Firewall should be flexible, right? That makes sense. I think I'm pretty sure I heard that somewhere. Firewall should be very flexible. Go to 93 Corolla, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Started with the hard one. Get most of the way in with this one. Then actually use the right one so I don't strip the dang thing. At some point one day I may redo the back lines on this car, but they don't need done now. The lines under the car actually look relatively clean. Matter of fact, oddly enough, this sectional line looks worse than the actual brake lines underneath the car. So, so I'm not going to bother redoing them right now. And the front lines only need redone because of the ABS system. So the back lines remain untouched because the ABS system feeds into the proportioning valve and not into the rear brakes themselves. So in the process of deleting the, what was that? I am the confused. Alright, I see what I did. Should have did this line first. Oh well. Lesson learned. Uh-oh. And as much as I'd like to just clean this one up and run this one, because I already have it, I am definitely going to look online and find one just to be safe. For a couple of reasons at this point. Because A, the inside of this one, obviously, as you guys seen originally, does not look that great. And one from a 95 Celica GT is laid out. Dimensionally, it looks exactly the same. So lines come in here, line goes out there, line goes out there. But this was originally a front disc rear drum car, and now it's four-wheel disc. So while I don't think this is going to cause me a problem for that, I don't think this is going to cause me a problem for that, I'm going to switch this out while there's no engine in here, because it just makes the most sense to do it now instead of later. So now for the next fun part, or maybe simple part. So, and that is the wrong fitting, if I remember correctly. Yes. So I need to cut that off anyway. There we go. So that's going to make it just a hair bit shorter by the time I get it cut off. But this entire project actually started because of the brakes on this car. The V6 5-speed swap, all that stuff. It needed a front wheel bearing when I got it back from my buddy Ryan. And it needed the rear brakes rebuilt, and it had drum brakes on the rear. I absolutely hate working with drum brakes, as you guys seen and heard in the Rambler videos. Not a fan. So I'm going to swap it to disc brake all the way around. Well, so I bought a 90, I think that was a 94, 95 Lexus ES300 as a parts car to make the brakes a thing. And in the process of that, I was like, well, now I got a spare V6 laying around. And then I was like, well, I got a Celica transmission laying around. If I'm going to go this far, why don't I just why don't I just V6 swap it too? Which snowballed into all of this. Whereas if I would have just rebuilt the rear brakes and changed out that wheel bearing, this was a perfectly good running and driving car. It had relatively high miles on it, but it didn't smoke. It ran good. Transmission acted right because it was an automatic, so it was easy to drive. We all fit in it. So it was a perfectly good little family beater. And I ruined it. So, alright, now that I got this far, I need to go ahead and obviously flare that line. I just wanted to make sure that as far as lengths go and everything, all that was going to work out. So then I can go from here to, I can go ahead and start working on pulling this line out and running a new one down to the caliper from here. Alright, had the wife hand me the tools off camera. Because, well, I didn't feel like getting out from underneath of this engine bay to get this done. So, let's see if I can do this sitting here and you guys can see me do it. So, why does that sound like someone's here?
Bruce.
Oh, okay.
Engine bag.
My neighbor's here. Oh, you can. What do you need, bud? Oh, okay. Never mind.
The roommate.
Ah. Alright. See if that's flared good enough. Yeah, it looks good.
I figured that.
Come on. Go apart. Ow. Yeah, that's actually plenty of flare. All right. Come on, screw back in. Here. Tin. It's all locked in place. Oh, there we go. All right. And I did all that where you guys couldn't see it. Damn it. Hey, there it is. It's back in now. That's all done. Dang it. Alright, now I guess I need to start figuring out the line going from there to there. Oop. After I about knock you guys down. Alright, a little different point of view. We got to run down to Advance. I can get the car in gear and grab some parts. I don't know if I probably won't have them in stock, so this might be the end of the video for today. But it's simple enough stuff they should be able to get it by tomorrow. So had to do on the bike drive by. So I love people. Clearly can tell I'm trying to get by him and just stops and just stands beside the car. Yeah. Alright, now we're going down to Advance. Talk to the wife and boss and have him grab me some parts. Take you guys along for the ride because this is a new one. And I got this phone mount. I've not actually got to use it for this because this has been the plan for it the whole time. It was for cruise nights, so I could take you guys along. I kind of can't set it to where you can see out the window and see me at the same time without moving them around, so I can't flip-flop back and forth. But it's something. The MG tap, 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 tapping away. Make sure the other car is going to stop. There we go. I love driving this little car. Alright, we'll be back in a minute. Alright, like I thought, nothing in stock that I needed. So, I mean, I could have just grabbed something random and made it work, but I wanted specific parts just because, well, easier to work with in the long run. Because I'll know what I have. So, but they'll be here tomorrow, so I think I'm going to work on just getting the old lines off of the car for today. And then I'll worry about running the new hardline and everything probably tomorrow instead of tonight. Just because, well, I already know what I need and what I'm doing, and I'd rather just have everything there and just be done with it. So, we'll see. I might work on, get the shop back out and clean out the engine bay. Seen the neighbor down the road with all the lawnmowers? Alright, now we're going to wait. Trying to block me. Even though she knows I live here, she likes to cause me drama. Whatever, don't care. Oh, she knows the car, she knows where I was going. Love people like that sometimes. Alright, got back just in time. The wife has pizza. It's gonna be good. Alright, but yeah, I think the goal now for tonight is I'm gonna go ahead and work on getting these brake lines off because, well, they are trashed. So, luckily they shouldn't be too bad to do. Gotta take this one from here, pull it out through there, and that one's just the little stub over there. But yeah, that'll be my goal for tomorrow is to replace those, I think. I'll run the hard lines and everything then. We will, maybe work on cleaning all the leaves and stuff out of this poor engine bay, because this was a fairly decent looking engine bay when I first did it. And then I regrettably left it set to bake some of this stuff in the sun, so we'll see. Might be more of a pain to get out than it's worth. Yeah. Bring you guys back in a minute. Alright, let's see if we can get that brake line off. As soon as I remember what I did with the wrenches. That's not the right wrench. Dang it. Alright, wrenches in hand. Something tells me this is going to be... That is the wrong one again! Oh, I'm failing. Oh, let's just try the regular 10mm, see if it'll break loose with that. And then when it don't, I'll pause the camera and try to find the right one again. Oh, hey, that did break loose. It's a Christmas miracle. Matter of fact, I think this one was relatively recently off on this. I don't believe this wasn't attached to this one. So this T-fitting was originally attached to this, so it's not in there too bad. Oh, there we go. All right, there's that. And I think to save some of my sanity, I'm just gonna custom bin the new hard line anyway. Get that out of the way. So I'm fighting getting all of this to come back through the hole. I am just going to stab myself with everything. And I'm not going to try to save these lines just because, well, they don't look all that great anyway. And frankly, I already tried breaking them loose at the rubber line, and it's not happening. So, no point in fighting it. I'll just get rid of them altogether. Makes life a little easier in the long run of it. There we go. And the rest of it. So now we will come over here, basically do kind of the same thing, even though there's not nearly as much of a fight with. Just going to basically stretch that one out a little bit, cut part of it off just to make life a little simpler here, to get it all the way through. Apparently these have some kind of rubber coating on them. So I'm going to cut through it before I actually get down to the rubber or get down to the metal line. Voila! Again.
What'd you do with her chair?
Behind you.
Oh.
Why does this part keep wanting to hurt me? Alright. Well, I jammed my thumb. We will move on to where the soft lines are. Side note, look at us looking adorable in our cupcake pajamas. Hi, baby. She's not having it because she's not feeling good today. Oh. Alright, now to get the rubber line out. So there is some extra gunk built up around these things because this car was undercoated back when it was stock, or back when it was new, not when it was stock. Well, we have when it was stock too, but yeah. So that's why it's got so much what looks like dirt built up in it, but it's not really dirt. It's all undercoating. So yay, that actually went a lot better than I thought it was going to. I originally wanted to try to get in here with a grinder and clean all this out. It's not worth it. And no, these coilovers are not the ones staying on the car because these ones are trashed. I have another brand new set. They're still the same crappy max peating rods for now, but I had to buy 2 sets of coilovers to make 1 set of coilovers for this car. And I didn't want to spend the money on a bunch of BC racing or DC racing or TN coilovers to find out that what I thought I was going to do to make it work was not going to work. So El Cheapo coilovers it is until I knew they were going to work, and then we will order better coilovers later. Alright, on to the other brake line. Alright, now to get the second one out. I feel like this one's going to be a little bit more of a pain than the other one because this one's got a lot more crap in around it. So, maybe it's gonna come out easy too. That'd be luck. I grabbed vice grips and pry bar because I really thought these were gonna be more of a pain to get out, but I mean, that's a good thing I'm doing this because frankly, these I think are the original lines of the car, so God knows how old they really are and how bad they really are. So better to swap them out now than later and then regret it for not doing it. So yeah, while we're here, this is supposed to be in here. So we will untangle the mess, I guess, for starters. Get those shoved through there. Then get this one shoved through there. Oh. There we go. One more thing done. Alright, on to the next task. Alright, we're back at it again today. I started off last night I ended the night making the hard line to come down here to where this brake hose is supposed to be. But unfortunately, Advance couldn't get the brake lines in like they were supposed to today. So I'm currently waiting to see if the set shows up that I ordered from AutoZone. If they show up, you guys will see more of that in this video. If they don't, that'll continue next week. So next thing we're going to go ahead and work on is the rear brakes need changed on the Tundra. They've not been changed since we've had it. We've had the truck like 4 years now. The front ones we did last fall. So the rear ones need done now. After that, I don't know what we got going on. Maybe we'll mess with the Celica a little bit. See if we can't find some more to do on the Corolla. We'll go from there. Wife is out back working on cleaning up some of the weeds that's been bugging her. Yeah. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, I already got them all broke loose. My impact gun does not like working with these ones because I can't get an impact socket in it. So, here we are. Maybe. There we go. I already broke them all free though before. Oh, I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. There we go. You can tell by looking at this stuff, these don't come off very often. Don't really have need to take them off very often. You can already see through the wheel that the brake looks kind of grooved. And we can feel a little bit of shuddering, not necessarily through the pedal, but through the truck, as you can feel the whole truck shake, but the steering wheel doesn't shake. So we're hoping at this rate that means it's the back ones causing it. And just take care of it and be done with it. At the same token, I know the front ones aren't bad. We just did them not that long ago. So here we are. Yeah.
Wild rhubarb.
Huh. There you go.
I think I'm gonna let it grow.
Oh yeah.
So the big old funky leaves back there are rhubarb.
Cool. Maybe. Alright, we're going to shut the camera off and get this wheel off. Alright, neighbor's now outside mowing. And I had the wife help me go through and get all these broke loose because they weren't coming. So I'm still hammering on some of them to get them to come loose enough to where I can get them out. Then again, if I wasn't recording, I probably could get it done a lot quicker. So, something you never realize when you're going to start doing some of these YouTube things. Take a 20-minute project off of without videoing and make it about a 2-hour project. Everything takes 3 times longer, it seems like, while you're recording. Especially when nothing seems to go the way you want it to, and then you try putting it on camera. So, all it does is just make the gods angry that you try to do anything. That was the upside. These, while the threads were a little rusty, the pins themselves actually look really clean. So, I am relatively hopeful that that is all going to come off decent enough. And I didn't grab a screwdriver because I'm a dummy. So, see if one of these wrenches by chance will fit. Maybe. There we go. Oh. So, see how these look after God knows, crunchy. After God knows how much wear. Bad. They look bad. Oh. Trying to not lose track of all my stuff. One more. There we go. Gotta get the old pads out. Wow. Those things are stuck in there. Those were bad. Oh, I got a feeling this thing's gonna be stuck on too. Whoop. She's on there good. Woo. All right. Some of this extra corrosion out here. I think I'm starting to see some separation. All right, time for a bigger hammer. All right, success. Bigger hammer equal win. All right. Here is our new rear brake drum. Hope the help's right. Oh. Yay. Now, before I leave that on there, though, we are going to go ahead, pull it back off, wipe down both sides of it, slide it back on, then we'll start working with the brake pads. Go. Backside wipe down. Front side wipe down. Better. Alright, now I'll work here at the mount bracket. See if we can go ahead. I gotta check and see if we have any of the replacement hardware or if we need to reuse the old kind of crusty hardware that's in here. So, answers that question. Ooh. And the CarQuest pads come pre-wrapped, come individually wrapped instead of just wrapped in plastic as a whole. Fancy. Alright, let's see here. In any particular way this needs to go on other than just, not a pure cell. Yeah, I could probably take this all into the garage and do it on the workbench and stuff. It doesn't feel very necessary for what I'm doing. I mean, it'd probably be a little cleaner, a little neater, a little nicer for the video, but that's about it. And for me personally, this is how I'm used to working, so I don't like getting up to make 15 different trips while doing brake parts. I can just do it all while I'm sitting by the wheel and be done with it. I prefer it. Hell if I had a screwdriver too. I don't know why I didn't grab a screwdriver. At this point I'm just being too lazy to go up and get one. But it's kind of a, if it's working, I'm going with it. Oh, wrong side. There we go. There's a lot of bits of brake hardware in here for just one. Well, I guess there is. Duh. There's enough for two sides. Ta-da. When I go to put these back together, I will wipe down and I will wipe down the grease or the through pins. That way all of that's new. I also need to get up and get my clamp so I can fix the caliper as well. So we're not 100% yet. 100% better than we were when we started, though. Those brakes were shot. Look at these things. There is no life left in these at all. Also, it doesn't look like they were wearing exactly evenly either. I'm surprised they were still working as well as they were. New ones, though, new ones got a ton of life in them. And the way we've abused this truck since we've had it is I have towed more cars with this truck than I have any other vehicle ever. My friends have towed a lot of cars with it. I have towed other trucks with it that were way above the weight range of what this thing should have been towing, along with the trailers it was towing it on. And it has never given me a bit of problem. It grunts a little and just goes. So, all right, there we go. That's all loaded in. I guess we'll go ahead and get that put back on, and then I'll go get the stuff to reset the caliper, clean up the caliper pins, or slide pins, whatever you want to call them, and we'll go from there. All right. Hopefully these things aren't a pain to line back up. I have a feeling they would be, though. It just wouldn't be a car project if things didn't go completely sideways as I was doing it, all right? There's the hole. Yeah, that's what she said. Nothing like blindly just shoving things in holes. Alright, we'll bring you guys back up here. Sorry about that. Wobble, 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 wobble. Right now, before I tighten them all the way down, I'm just trying to get it to where they're seated fully, so I can get both of them to the point to where all they need is tightened up, and then I'll tighten them both down. I don't like leaving one really loose before I do the other, because then next thing you know, you've found a spot of rust on your frame rail. Shocker. And I guess there's some over here too. Oh well. I was very lucky this Tundra was not affected by the frame recall. They did the recall work on it to coat the frame in the trouble spots, but no actual frame damage was found, so it was not needed, thankfully. They would have told me my truck needed a new frame, I would have been very sad, because that would have been a long way out from getting fixed. So, I say my truck, it's really the wife's truck. She drives it way more than I do. There we go. There we go. Now, we will go clean up these slide pins quick, and I will grab the clamp to reset the brake caliper, and we'll be good to go. Alright, I'm back with my C-clamp. That's what I've always used. I know a lot of people use a different style, but this is what I've always done. And that, I think it's a 11mm socket stuffed on the end. From, I can't remember why I did it, but I did it forever ago, and it's always worked well, so I've just left it that way. So let's see here. Need to adjust it out a lot more. So I like using this style C-clamp because it lets me a little bit of force at a time without having to really fight getting it to go in. And then the upside of that socket being stuck on the end of it, because that socket's been on there for years at this point, I wouldn't really want to try to go through the effort to get it off, is it spreads out the load and it's not putting it right on a point. There we go, and we are all the way bottomed out. Alright, and it looks like my neighbor's stopping to talk to me, so I am going to pause you guys and we will come back. Alright, well, the neighbor stopped to talk. I went ahead and I got the brake rotor the brake caliper put completely back on. So this side's all done. Everything's tightened down, everything's good. Just gotta get the wheel put back on. Oh, these wheels for this thing are freaking heavy. So it might take me a second. Nope, gotta get up. Oh, work on the truck, they said. It'll be fun, they said. The brakes will be easy, they said. Oh. And yes, I know other people have much heavier wheels and tires. But when you're used to dealing with 18s with a 35 sidewall and not 18s with a 65 sidewall, it's a bit of a weight difference. Come on. Oh, no, there we go. Ah. Heavy wheels are heavy. Now, a smart person would have went ahead and cleaned up that inside of that wheel while they had everything apart. But you might have forgot. See if I can get one of these lug nuts to start. There we go. Upside is, I'll know when it's fully seated. There's a ring to show me. This new caliper might be, or new rotor might be a little thicker than the top hat too. It doesn't look like they're going along as far. My neighbor Bruce wanted to know if I wanted to buy a winch. I'd love to buy a winch. I got the money for a winch. Yes, I am going to go through with a breaker bar once I put it down on the ground and make sure these things are good and tight. This is just to make sure they're seated fully before I get that far. So right, now drop it down Hit them all with the brake bar. Ugh. I am too chunky for this heat, even though it's not that hot today. All this extra. Whew. Check the other 3 or 4. Whatever. Oop. Things on these wheels. Oh, come on. All right, there we go. One side done. Oofda. One more to go. Wish me luck. All right, I saved you guys the hassle of watching me fight and struggle with the wheel again, because this one was also stuck. And I went through and I got everything broke loose again like I did on the other side, because there was no way it was happening on camera. Not without you guys getting shots of things you don't want to see. So, yeah, so we'll go ahead and we'll get everything apart now. Might even have these. I think, yeah, I got these where they just slide out. Again, lucky with the pins, because they are relatively clean. So no fighting with them. And I got a screwdriver this time. I am far more prepared. There we go. Almost looks like I know what I'm doing this time. That's why everyone else does one brake on camera all the way through and the other one off camera, so they don't look so stupid. Go. Voila, those are all out. Yeah, I didn't figure. Alright, I'm just gonna do it like I did the other side and hope I don't hit any studs. it off. This one's actually better than the other one was. There we go. Ended up working out a hell of a lot better. Next thing next. We'll go ahead and we'll do the caliper while we're here because I still got to open the box yet for the rotor. All the crap right in my shoe. This is where I want it to be. Come on. Stay. Oop, too loose. Too loose. There we go. So this is why I like this. Do it a little bit at a time and just ow! Get metal in my finger. That done. Put that back out of the way again. The rotor opened. If I can get the tape off. Pretty. Old pads out. These ones are better than what they were on the other side. There we go. There's where the camera is. So, wife actually thought these were going to be the bad side, and they appear to be the good side. So, whatever. Both sides sucked. This side just sucked a little less. Alright. Now for the new hardware. Get this side on while I have it in my hand. There we go. Oh, there we go. That's always a good thing to do. Throw the new brake pad on the ground. That's good for it. Start collecting all the fancy paper wrapping. Right, back on it goes. Old hardware out of the way. Almost forgot to tilt you guys back up. Ow. Stab myself with the hardware. Oof. Long bolts are long, even though they're not really that long. There's that. Now for what you guys didn't get to see me do on the other side. You didn't actually get to see me put the caliper and everything back on. When the neighbor stopping by, shut the camera off. Take the slide pins here. Put a little bit of grease on them. It is just wheel and bearing grease, or wheel bearing grease, I think. High temp disc brake wheel bearing grease. There we go. So probably not exactly the right thing for them, but it's what I've always used, and I've had no issues with it. Normally I've had brakes that I do this come back apart fairly easy. So down at least hand tight. Get some grease off my finger. Everything on this side is designed to make me crush my fingers, apparently. So I keep doing. And I know you can't always tell, but I did put the same pin back in the same hole this time. I did on the other side too, you guys couldn't see. Guys are kind of bedded together a little bit. Not something that you necessarily need to do. Just it makes me feel a little bit better. And there we go, all back together. Now we get the wheel on and take it for a little drive. Make sure everything feels okay, and seat the brakes in. Unfortunately, I only have 4 of them to go back on because the 5th one basically is stripped. We took it to a shop to have some work done to it before this, and well, needless to say, I'm probably going to be going back to that shop to have a talk with them, because if a nut is acting cross-threaded, you don't just ugga-dugga it all the way on until it's tight. I'll put it that way. And that is very much what it looked like happened to it, so. Not saying that was 100% sure what happened, but it feels an awful lot like that's what happened, so. Luckily, it looks like the stud is okay, but the wheel nut, being a softer metal, did not take to it very well. So we've got to see if we can find some more of these oddball looking lug nuts. Considering she works at the end of the road and back, I'm not overly worried. So 4 can't hold it, 5 never would have. What channel is that on? Someone else says something similar to that, and I can't think of who it is now. I think that might be a Junkyard's Dig. That might have been an accidental Junkyard's Dig reference. Maybe. I like that channel. That's a good channel too. Him and Vice Grip Garage are awesome. Probably 2 of my favorites. Right there, Puddin's Fab Shop. One day to be that good. That ain't today though, unfortunately. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead and shut you guys off. Go ahead and tighten these down the rest of the way on the ground. And then we'll hop in and go for a little ride and see how they feel. Alright, we are going to go test out these brakes. And while we're at it, we are going to go see if they have a lug nut down at the Advance. So, given I didn't do the front brakes, I'm not overly worried about the brakes. Want to seat them a few times and go from there. Oh yeah, they work good. Oh, stops so much better. It didn't stop bad before, but I didn't think the rear braking made that big of a difference. Shows just how bad those old ones were. This truck, for as long as we've had, it's always had a thing where like you felt like you had little to no brake until you were almost ready to stop, and then like it was just like everything all at once. And now they just feel, you know, they feel smooth and consistent. Because the only time they really felt like this was when you were braking hard with the trailer, and now it's like they're just smooth, and it's not shaking as you're braking either. It's a nice smooth brake. Very happy with that. Now I don't know, she likes driving this thing all the time. We're used to stuff with like sub 200 horse and tops out at 50 mile an hour screaming rate. Getting in this thing feels like a race car. Even want to fight with that. We are just going to back up and go into one of the All right, they had the lug nuts that I needed. So it's not the exact same lug nut, but I have never seen another wheel that actually needed both. Whether it needed the taper to go in, or I needed the plug to go in and then the taper part. So I think I will be fine with just that, and it's only on one. I'm not doing it on all 5. So hopefully that solves that problem. Now to get it back down to the house and let the wife know she's got good brakes again. Not that she really had bad brakes before. This was the fact that it felt like it was shaking a little bit when you were coming to a complete stop was bugging her. So yeah. Alright. So I'm gonna flip you guys around maybe and let you guys watch the race. And we're off. Luckily we're not too far away from the house, so I can't believe the difference those brakes made. And I mean, I'm used to front brakes making a big difference, but back brakes making a big difference is something new. Like, those shouldn't have helped that much. This shows exactly how bad those really were. Oh well. Now, we are waiting for the brake hoses to show up so I can work on the Corolla some more. And I think I accidentally helped offer to mow the yard. Or offer to help mow the yard right before I left to do this. So, I have a feeling when I get back to the house, I gotta mow the yard. If that's the case, whatever. It needs done. I'd rather do car things, so. Oh, yeah, they feel a ton better. Right over my daughter. And we are back. Yep. Alright, time to go mow the yard. Right. I did offer to help mow the yard. I got this section done. We agreed that we both kind of hate doing the backyard. She doesn't like doing it at all. I really hate that side of it, so she's mowing the other half that I can't stand to mow. And then we gotta go mow up front. Ugh. So she really hates mowing up front, whereas I really hate mowing back here, so that's why we're dividing it the way we are. Yay! Alright, now off on the next fun little adventure. I think we're going to try to limp the Rambler down to the gas station and put some gas in it. See how this goes. Flip you guys so you can watch the road instead of me. Oh, get it out of gear. Doing this because I really think it's starting to run low on gas. And I'd rather put more than 5 gallons in it at a time. So, and I'd like to see how it drives for more than 4 foot. Ooh. God damn, the brakes work good on this car. Oh, made it into third. Down to the road I want to stop at. gas station to get to, which kind of sucks. Getting through this intersection is not exactly a fun time all the time. Looks like a Prius taking up 2 lanes. The thunking sound I hear goes away when I get into third. This thing makes a lot of noise in first and second. There we go. It doesn't really make much noise in third. Oh, this thing's a handful. Now to get it around to a gas pump is going to be the next fun part. Pull up here in front of the, yeah, pull up in front of the line. Holy crap, I made it to the gas station. It's a miracle. Alright, gonna get some gas. Alright, I almost forgot to hit the play button on the way back down to the house. We're about halfway there now. So, it is a rather sketchy trip. I have a ball joint that or tire rod end that I know is bad. So I am not afraid to admit this is worrying just a hair bit to do. But we do seem to be making it. Before I try driving it anymore, I am definitely checking the transmission fluid in this thing again. Because I think that's part of what I'm hearing is the transmission is just not happy. I think it's a little low. Gears and it doesn't do too bad. It's just for some reason first and second just sound real bad. The third sounds smooth. Alright, then we get kicked up out of gear. And back to the house. So, not to mention that that water pump needs changed. Hang on, guys. Not to mention that water pump needs changed before I ever drive this thing that far again, because right now that was not a good trip. So I could hear the water pump making a lot of noise. Oh, the baby is mad that I'm back. I better go. Well, there we go. Anyway, I got it back. It definitely something, as you guys can hear in the video, going clunk, 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 clunk. In first and second gear, it does it, but third gear, it goes away. Then I think the sound I'm hearing in third gear, because it's very definitively coming from up here, I think once everything else quiets down, you can hear this tire rod end bouncing around a little bit inside of there. That is definitely, along with the water pump, one of the next things on my list to take care of. So, yeah. I made it there and back without issue, relatively. So I'm happy with that. Alright, now we're going to hop in the MG because I just got a call from the auto parts store that my parts are in for the Corolla. So, time to go get those. Ugh. Hopefully you guys like the MG because you guys see more of it than anything else, I think, at this rate. least you guys see me drive it more than everything else. Who says little British sports cars aren't reliable? Can't get him going in reverse. There we go. He says as it dies. We'll probably put some gas in this thing too, because it's been a minute. And the gas gauge don't work, so, you know, there's that. Thing that you had to have a bunch of power in a car to really have fun with it. Then I started driving these little things. I had more fun in this thing with 80 horse than I've had in cars with 400. I'm not saying 400 is a lot of horsepower. That's decent for a street car though. Especially when you're not talking a brand new, you know, Charger, Challenger, stuff like that. Corvette, Camaro. Talking something like my Nova, 400 is a pretty good number. This is like 85, 90 horse. Gotta be about the funnest little 85, 90 horse. Comparatively, at least. Because you can toss this thing around town all day and never get in trouble. Never go fast enough. And if you do get pulled over for speeding, you can look at it's in kilometers. I didn't know how fast I was going. I thought I was doing 35. I must have calculated wrong. And they look and go, oh, I'm sorry, sir. It'll be okay. Just try to get your calculation right next time. Oh, now that I revealed that, that'll never work again. There's only 32 of you. It'll be fine. My least favorite intersections in Findlay, turning into this auto zone, because there's so much traffic right here and everyone's going like 10 mile an hour over the speed limit. So if you don't do it kind of quick, you end up hung out to dry in the middle of traffic. I don't know how many accidents I've pulled up to there where someone got rear-ended because the traffic wasn't paying attention to them. Alright, in for parts we go. Well, they had my hoses, but I think I need a couple fittings to be able to flare onto the end of the line. I think I might have them at home, but I'd like to have a couple more just to be safe. So I'm going to have to swing by Advance and see if they have them, because that is an area where I'm not a big fan of AutoZone. They don't have things like that out to where you can physically check them yourselves, and if they can't type it into the computer and tell you which ones they need, they really don't like digging it out. So, yeah. So we'll just go down to Advance where I can look at everything myself and find it myself. turn and they weren't happy about it. They wanted to get around the truck. Oh well. That's why you don't get in a hurry. Alright, now let's see if we can find the right part. Alright, we got the part that I needed. Alright, 2 fittings, and then I had to buy basically a section of brake line to get them. Because they didn't have any actual fittings. Could have went and tried O'Reilly's, but I'm tired of running around everywhere. I'm going to get back to the house and get back to work. I think we're going to have dinner, and then I'm going to get back to work. And I realize by now, too, this video is going to be all over the place this week. I've been doing all sorts of crap this weekend. But it's kind of the point of these videos for me. Take you guys on a little adventure and sharing the fun. So, I guess I'll use this as one of those moments to go. If you enjoy this stuff, share it, subscribe, leave a comment, all those things, you know, that everyone else says in their videos. I'd like to make this something a little bit more than what it is. I enjoy it. I got to get a little bit better at recording for it yet. Hopefully this video, hopefully this one you guys are watching, will be better than the rest of them, because I'm trying a little different setup with how I'm recording it and everything. So it shouldn't just be a little tiny screen this time. Fingers crossed, hopefully. So, yeah, I'd like to see this grow a little bit more. Not about, you know, anything more than having fun with it, but, you know, the more people that are along for the ride, the more fun it is. So, alright, almost back down to the house. Still can't believe I got the Rambler down the road as far as I did. That was a traffic violation waiting to happen. So, and we are back. Alright, now to go see what the wife has planned, and then hopefully get the brake lines done. If not, we'll figure out what we're doing after that. Easily. Alright, it is the next day. As you can see, I've already got the new brake line in. I put the fitting on the end of the line, so now it's just a matter of putting it all together. I am not currently worried about hooking everything to everything, because, well, there ain't exactly everywhere for everything to hook to at the moment. So, oh, daughter lost her ball. So, I'm just hoping my flare is good enough that this thing's bottoms out in seats. Just seems like it's going to. There we go. Now I could go ahead and work on getting the line fully attached. It won't attach to this coilover because it's not meant for this coilover. I've got different coilovers that I'm going to be running on the car. That, and I don't believe there was a left and right side to these hoses. That could be part of the problem too. Maybe there was a left and right side and I didn't realize it. It's really starting to feel like there's a left and right side. So, alright, I'm going to double check these hoses and I'll come back to you. Alright, it appears that while I don't notice a difference for a left or right side, I did maybe put it in upside down. So fix that, tightening everything back down, and it should be good to go. And then we'll start figuring out the line for the other side, because the other one I got to completely make yet. I didn't start it at all. there we go. Good and tight. Should be good to go. We'll find out when we go to bleed the brakes. Not in this video, but one of the next ones will be me doing all of that stuff. Wheel should be out here. That sits down in there. I'm going to say that way. And goes over to the brake line. Goes over there that way. So like I said, these lines aren't meant for these coilovers, so I might have some funkiness going on that I got to deal with, but I'll figure that out as I go. Alright, so I've started this side off by just straightening some of this off camera. So the goal is I'm going to come down here, kind of run along this frame rail a little bit, come up over into there. So I'm not 100% certain this is going to go exactly the way I want, but we're going to try. You want to come out well past where I want to be for the bend so I can bend it. Then I've got to bend it the other way. In order to do that, I'm basically going to have to try and... This is not exactly a fun process when you're dealing with this much line. So I'm going to go from there to that. Now, this doesn't look exactly right because, well, this line is weighing it down a little bit. So it should be up here like this. See if I can get that to prop itself up. There we go. And then this needs twisted up that way. And there. Now, as you can see, I got way more of that than I need, which was something I figured was going to happen, but that's okay. I would rather cut it off than not have enough. So, and thus far, I've hugged a lot of this exactly like I wanted to. I just gotta get the height right. And that looks about right. So I'll cut it off and go from there. Alright, I'm gonna get that flared, cut and flared. Alright, I've got it ran out of the car, or out of the engine bay, and down here. Now to get it lined up and started. Now I am not going to claim that anything about the way these lines are going to look is going to be beautiful. Because it's not. They're not perfect lines by any stretch of the imagination. But they'll get the job done and they'll do what I need them to do. If I wanted them to look pretty and neat, I would have a roller and everything, or I would have took it somewhere and had them done. You know, something along those lines. I want it to be functional, and I don't want them to I don't have to worry about them rusting really again. Because my understanding is with this copper plated zinc line or whatever it is, it's some kind of fancy easy bend line, but my understanding is this stuff doesn't tend to rust. I don't think there's regular steel in it to rust. So is one less thing I don't have to worry about necessarily doing again, and I made it to where I can do it here, because bending the two steel hard lines I did underneath the hood, because I had already bought them prior to buying this, because this is leftover stuff from the Rambler. There we go. I was going to do them all in steel on this car just because of how expensive this stuff is. But when I bought it by the spool instead of by the piece, like I did with the Rambler, it was a lot cheaper. But there we go. That is as far as I can get with the brake lines right now until we get to the point of the suspension's locked in place and I can actually physically hook the brake lines to the calipers without everything flopping around. So, yeah. One more thing crossed off the list. Alright guys, I think that is going to be about it for this week's video. I didn't get a lot done on it this time, but we also got the brakes done on the wife's car, and I did a bunch of other stuff in the background. But this is farther than I've ever gotten with this in one sitting in a long time. So I am happy to have gotten as far as I did. The next video I think you guys are going to see me do is me putting the cross member and the K member back under the car so I can mount the transmission, so I can get the line from the clutch master cylinder down to the clutch slave cylinder figured out. And from there, I've also got to figure out how I'm getting the shifter cables from a 95 Celica GT into this 93 Corolla. So, because they are not the same plate that bolts into the car. And from my understanding is I couldn't use ones from a Corolla because the transmission isn't the same as the Corolla 5-speed transmission. So I've got to sort that out. I don't think either one of those things is going to be hard, but those are the two things I want to get done next video. And then from there, it'll be drop all that back out, get the motor and transmission put together, and start getting them back in the car. I don't think that'll happen that video, but it'll be close. So, and once that's all in the car, that's when I can actually physically start putting the rest of the suspension back together and get everything underneath the car and start getting it all bolted back together. Because I am putting the engine on the K member, sliding it all under the car, and then dropping the car down on top of it, instead of trying to have everything in and then drop the engine and transmission in. I've done it that way several times now, and I hate doing it that way anymore. I want to do it the other way around, mainly because the back engine mount in these things are a pain to do. So by doing it that way, it's already bolted on, whether there's no car wrapped around it. So it avoids that entire problem. But yeah, once we get into that stuff, I'll get into more detail about what exact swap I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and why I'm doing it. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. And as I think I said it a little while ago in the video as well, I'd like to make this more of a thing. So if you guys could like, share, subscribe, you know, get a few more people to come to the channel, that'd be great. I would love to share what I'm doing for more people. So, but remember, it's about the adventure, not the destination. If you're working on something, get out and do it. You already got your project car done, get out and enjoy it. Everyone have fun. See you next time.